Hi everyone, I am back and I wanted to present to you the Dreams of Gaia Tarot by Ravynne Phelan, and I wanted to bring this to you as a review of a person who has actually who have used the deck and got into the new system that this deck presents. When I was trying to decide on whether I wanted the deck, I watched a lot of reviews and stuff of people's first impressions. And usually the first impressions are people really love the deck. They think it's a beautiful deck. They love the artwork, but they had some reservations about the new tarot system that does not follow along the lines of any traditional tarot system. So it has created its own system. So I wanted to do a review upon that. I wanted to bring its, what I think is its strengths and what I think is its weaknesses. I do adore this deck. I have been using it quite often. A lot of people have chosen to use the deck as an oracle deck, and this deck does work very well as an oracle deck, but it also does work really well as a tarot deck. So I want to just kind of dive right into it. I want to dive into the philosophy that I think is behind it, or how my philosophy integrates into this deck and how it became useful for myself. So when you get the deck today, because this deck has been out for, I think, about a year now, maybe a little more than a year. This is the second edition. It is a different deck. This is the one that you would be getting today if you do decide to get the tarot deck. It comes in a box. It's a nice sturdy box. I'm not going to get into huge details about it. It is published by Blue Angel. You have some beautiful cards here that gives you a representation of what the cards look like. It's not a magnetic box. It's just, a slip box. So let's get going here. So blue on the inside. So you get a book, and this is a very, very big book. It's got, over 300 pages. So it's your standard tarot book, but this book has so much information. It explains the new system. It explains why she set up the system the way she sets it up, and what each card means. And it goes very deep into depth of what each card means. I mean, many cards has multiple pages of explanation. So just the basic setup for the Major Arcanas, you have, your little thumbnail of a card, you have the name of the card, you have keywords, you have key phrases, and then you have the meaning of the cards. So the meaning of the cards can definitely go in depth, several pages long, and then she actually says if the card falls in the past position, what the card would mean. If the card falls in the present position, what the card would mean. If it falls in the future position, what it means. And if it comes in a challenge position or reverse situation, it also gives it. So it's a very, very thorough explanation of what the cards are. And this is another reason why this deck would work really well as an oracle deck, because it totally gives you thoughts and questions and things to ponder throughout the day. So I would say that is a great one. Now, when you hit to the minors, you are definitely going to still get, a thumbnail. You're going to get the name of the card, the keywords, the key phrase. You're going to get a meaning, but it's not going to do past, present, future. It's going to go into the meaning of the card and then whatever the meaning would be in a reversed, a blocked, or a challenge position. So the one thing that I do like about this book, because it is very, very, it's kind of thick and it's full of meaning. I do find myself going to this book quite a bit still, as I'm still working through and learning all the different cards. But if you look closely at this book, you can see these black lines. You have all your majors. So you have the first black line is right up to here, right? That's your introduction. After this black line, all the way up to here, that is the Major Arcanas. Then you have your minors. So if you go to the next black line, that would be Earth, that would be air, that would be fire, that would be water is your last one. So if you're like trying to quickly thumb through the book and you go, oh, I need to get earth, you just go to this first section and ta-da, earth. If you go, I need to go to fire, you go to, you know, I think fire is the third one, and you open it up, and then you go fire, there you go. So it's kind of clever. I just kind of discovered that, and I thought it was actually quite brilliant to be able to easily identify where the suits of the cards are. So I'm not going to go into deep detail. Like I said, it comes basic. It's your introduction. It'll give you some basic spreads. Then it goes into in-depth understanding. And then obviously at the very, very back, you have about the author, you know, and some additional decks that are available from Blue Angel. So this is that book. This is a great book. I use it all the time because I'm still learning the cards, but I'm finding that it is really in depth into understanding the meanings behind the cards that the author was intending. So I like that. So the cards that you're going to receive will look like this. So in the first edition, you are going to have just black, completely black with just the gold lines around it. But this new edition, you have this design, and you know what? It hides fingerprints really well. So, same thing, blue box. So here's the cards. As quickly as we can go here. So, it is kind of a satin finish. It's not really glossy. It's pretty thin. It's not really thin. It's a decent size cardstock, but these are not your normal size tarot cards. I would say these are more oracle size tarot cards, so, or oracle size cards. So here's a normal tarot card. This is the Rider-Waite, and you can totally see that it is definitely wider and is definitely taller. So it is bigger than a normal tarot card. If I put it up against an oracle card for an oracle deck, it's about the same size. This one's a little thinner than this particular one from Work Your Light Oracle. It's a little thinner, but it's about the same height. It's a little taller, just a hair taller, but it is a hair thinner. So I would classify these as oracle size. So when people say we use this as an oracle deck, it totally can be used as an oracle deck. But it is also a tarot deck. It does have structure, so it can also be used as a tarot deck. There are, in a regular traditional tarot deck, there are 78 cards. And there are more cards in this deck. So the Major Arcanas, instead of being, 22, there are 25. And we'll see why, because it is completely structured really different. So this is gilded. It's got kind of a sparkly gold thing, on it. It's a sparkly gold. I think it's very pretty. So definitely finishes off the deck. It doesn't just feel like it's been cut, packaged, and sent off. It feels like that it was finished. So anyways, let's take a look at the cards. So here's where I find that these cards are completely different, and it will literally tell you in the beginning. In a traditional tarot deck, the very first card is the Fool. In this particular deck, the very first card is Choice. So let's just kind of think about the structure that is going to come. When people look at it, it's like, if it doesn't follow their traditional Rider-Waite, Smith is what the traditional foundation that I've learned upon, this can really throw you off. It will throw you off. But if you follow the philosophy of law of attraction, I think you will find that this deck really highlights those philosophies. So in law of attraction, is what you put out is what comes in. It is what you bring back to yourself. It's about being in ownership of everything that happens to you. Sometimes that's a really hard thing to do, because you have to take ownership of everything that happens to you, including the stuff that's out of your control, because you may not be in control of what happens to you, but you are in control of how you respond to it. And those are your choices that you make. So law of attraction can be a tough pill to swallow sometimes, and these cards can really exemplify that by having you question, why are you doing something? Why are you responding this way? Why are you putting things out? If this is the end result you want, is this the way you want to go about it? So this deck really exemplifies that philosophy. The structure of this deck definitely lends itself to that. So, I mean, I was really thinking about it for a while. Why the different structures, and why did she choose it? And she may not intentionally made it for a law of attraction type deck, but it really is a great tool to help a person on that journey of learning to gain control, learning and understanding that their choices matter. So this card is very, very fitting. In our life, we always have choices. Everything is a choice. So no matter if something happens to us that's out of our control, we have a choice on how we respond to it. If it's something we want to happen and we're trying to get to a means to an end, we have a choice of how we're going to put things in motion, how we think about it. And by understanding the energies of the universe, the universal energies, we can direct the energies in a way that will bring us to the desired outcome. So that's what I think that this deck really assists on and really can exemplify on. One thing that I do believe that this deck may not do very well, it's not a great predictive deck. I mean, it will tell you potential outcomes, but it's not like tarot, the traditional tarot. It makes you think, it makes you contemplate. If you get a card in the outcome position that you don't like, it's asking you questions. Why is you doing this? Why is it doing? What can you do to avoid this? Look back on their past to see how it reflects the future and how it's reflecting on your decisions of what you're doing. So I don't think that this deck would make a great predictive deck, but this deck is a great deck for helping you gain control when you feel completely out of control. So I'm going to move my card in. So let's take a look at these decks. So the very first card is actually the first establishment of the whole system. It's the choice card. The choice card is it plays across all cards in this deck, the entire deck. It's like every single point in this deck. You can put this next to any card in the deck, and it is your choice. It is the choice of what you do with it, how you make it, how you deal with it. So that would be the choice card. This is the base structure of this deck. So this card is like the Fool. It can go on any card. Is it the journey? What's your journey? Your journey makes you make choices. So this would be your beginning. So the next set of 8 cards, there are 8 cards. These are the stages in life. So she breaks this down into 3 sets of 8. So you have your first set, which is your choice card, which is only 1 card. Then you have the next 3 sets in the Major Arcana are the stages. So this is the stages of life. And the other thing I wanted to bring to the attention to this particular deck is the fact that it doesn't really necessarily pull people into your life. You know, like tarot can say, you know, here's a female that's affecting the situation. Here's a male that's affecting the situation. It does do that to a point, but not really. It's more about what's going on internally with you and the stages. So just keep that in mind. But if it does bring up people, a lot of the people are major arcanas. And you'll see why when we get into the minors, where you're dealing with the court cards, are not exactly the court cards. So that's why I say it doesn't really predict people very well in your lives. It will probably talk about the influences in your life, or if there are people, they show up in these major arcanas mostly. So anyways, the stages of life, we start off with the child, which would be the youth, you know, a young child in school age and stuff like that. Then you have your female, I would call this your female teenager, your maiden, right? Your teenager, your young adult life, you're just embarking on it. You're no longer a child, you become a young adult. So there's the female version. And then you have your male version, the youth. So now, and the thing that you have to remember is that even though that you have a male and female, when you start reading the cards, you start discovering that it's not necessarily male and female. It's more of female energies, male energies. Female energies are more nurturing, male energies are more active. So they are very reflective of energies more than people, but they can represent people, or they can represent where you are in your life. If you are more of a passive energy, or if you're more of an active energy. So then you have your adults. You have the mother and the father. So these are your, you know, you're past the youth stage. You're past the young, vibrant age. You're now settling down roots. You're starting families, or you're moving through the motions of mid-age. Your prime of your age, the adult years in your life. So, but the same thing, it's the more mature female energy, the more mature male energy. If you want to relate this to the traditional tarot, this would be the Empress, and this would be the Emperor. So, but you know, you can see that there's those differences. So then, when you're dealing with the later stages in life, you will have the same thing. You have this yin-yang balancing energy. You will have the elderly. That means you're beyond your childbearing years. You're in the more sage stage of your life. You have accumulated a bunch of knowledge. What are you going to do with it? You have your older female, which they call the crone, and the older male, which they call the sage. These would probably be really attributed to the Hermit card. So you have those two. So the last one in the stages of life is death and rebirth. This is a different form. It's about transformation, death and rebirth. It's like you see the little baby being born, and you see it's about the completion of the cycle of life. But you know, you can also think of it as like a phoenix. It's like, you know, from the ashes, new birth arrives. So you have that. So the death. So this would be the first stage. This is the first set of the 8 within this new system. So the next set is the reasons for being. So these are your physical stages in life. These are the reasons that you exist, and these are the things that you need to contemplate and finding out and discovering who you truly are. So the first step, the first card would be knowledge. So our first reason of being is to seek out knowledge. And the next stage would be wisdom. And this is another one that would harken back to definitely the Hermit card. It's the seeking knowledge, wisdom from within. Because, like I said, law of attraction is all about learning how you are interacting with the world, and it is your own journey. It is not a journey for someone else, it's your journey. Then you have the healing card. You have the love card for the reasons of being. You have the union card. These two are different. It's like the love card is the high vibrations of love. The union card is about two elements coming together and becoming a union, working together, love, lots of different things. So she's broken that out. Understanding the self. I really love these pictures. They're just really gorgeous. And then understanding abundance. What is abundance in your life? Finding your destiny. This is the box, the cover of the book. Destiny. It's a little different because you notice all the animals. But they're not there. All right. And then the last card is the journey. It's your personal journey. It's what path are you going to take? It's your own personal journey. No two paths are alike. So this is your own personal journey. So the third subset of these cards are your influences. What is going to influence what you're doing, why you're going to come to the decisions that you come to. These are the influencing elements within you that determine how you make a decision. So your influences is your thoughts will influence you. Your emotions will definitely influence you. It determines how you are responding to things. Your desires, as you can see, these do not follow a traditional format. Then you have your perception. How you perceive things is going to determine how you respond to things. Your intuition, what is going on in your gut, is going to determine how you respond to things. Your integrity, how you are internally, is your integrity, the truth of who you truly are, not what you put out to the world for the world to see. It's who you truly are inside. That's why, naked, there's no cover up of what your intent is, your integrity. You have your faith, and it could be multiple faiths, all sorts of different faiths. Your faith is going to determine how you respond to the world. So now we're into the minors, and I'm going to probably stop right here for this one, and then we'll go into the second set of cards, into the minors. So we just went through all the majors, and you can already see, so let's break them out here. All right, so we have the structure of the majors. You have the first card, which is only one, which is your choice. Your choices go on every single card, every single card. Then you have your stages of life, is your first set of 8. You have your reasons for being, the reasonings why you do things. Why you're handling things. It's like what your desires are, your goals are, or if you're still searching, this is a part of that. Then you have what was going to influence you, all the emotions, all the thoughts, the elements, the things around you. These are your influencers. So this is how these cards for the majors are built. In the terms of law of attraction, every stage requires choices. So if you want to use this as an oracle deck, every card has an extraordinarily in-depth understanding that the author and the creator of this deck really placed into the cards. So there is a new system. So I think if you look at this through the lens of law of attraction, this deck makes a whole lot of sense. So anyways, so I'm going to stop here for now, and then I'm going to pick back up in the next video with the minors. Thanks.